Impossible, me? A mother to a child with disabilities? On a leisurely holiday morning, enjoying breakfast with my husband. Suddenly, my sister shows up with her daughter, inexplicably sullen and furiously angry. What the heck? I don't understand. What's all this about so early in the morning? Big sis, do you have any idea how much patience it takes to raise a child with disabilities? I've reached my limit. My sister's daughter stood quietly, crying, as her mother ranted. I'll give her to you, the barren one. A perfect match, don't you think? A childless woman and a child with disabilities. Who are you calling barren? I retorted immediately, but my sister left as if fleeing. I remembered, my niece must be 7 years old by now. She probably doesn't even understand what's happening. Are you okay? Yay! Freedom at last. Huh? My name is Monica, in my 30s. Married to Fred, whom I met at work. For 5 years, we still haven't been blessed with children. We both love kids and always talked about having our own someday since we were dating. But reality is cruel. We couldn't have children as we hoped. After discussing it, we couldn't give up on having our own children and decided to start fertility treatments. Despite the cost, having just one child would make us happy. So, we visited the clinic together with the hope of it. However, the doctor informed us that our chances of conceiving were extremely low. But that somehow gave me closure. We did everything we could. Fred said, as long as I'm with Monica, I'm happy. Let's enjoy life together. He encouraged me. Even if we weren't blessed with children, we could enjoy our life together. I truly felt that. One day, returning home, I found my sister Barbara there at the same time. Barbara, always popular since school days due to her cute looks and savvy, is now married to Nick, who has taken over his parents' company as the president. She boasted about it, wrapped in high-brand fashion. Meanwhile, she belittled my husband for being a regular employee and looked down on me. My husband is now a president, you know? Always been an elite, unlike yours. Barbara's husband is amazing. But Fred works hard too, and he's very kind to me. You've always been like that, which is why you'll never succeed. I nodded along, feeling frustrated inside. Taking advantage of my silence, she taunted, so, you're the defective one who can't have kids? The barren one, right? Laughing mockingly at me. Barbara has always seemed to dislike me. Always competing and trying to one-up me, it's honestly exhausting. She wouldn't say such terrible things in front of our parents. But without them, she does whatever she wants. Her mockery of my infertility infuriated me, and I left my parents' house. Why should I be spoken to like that? Does she have any idea how much I've suffered because of my inability to have children? Yet, my insensitive and arrogant sister kept pointing out my childlessness. Whenever we met, she would boast about having children. Despite understanding my sister's nastiness, being mocked about such a sensitive issue was unbearable. Her attitude worsened with every meeting. The only option was to distance myself. I made an effort to avoid her as much as possible. Then, on a holiday, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. My husband was out shopping, leaving me alone doing house chores. Thinking about where we could go when he returned. I was doing the dishes when I wondered what this could be about so early in the morning, only to find it was my sister. It had been a while since we had kept distance. We hadn't seen each other in forever. Yet, here she was. Her face on the intercom screen looked displeased, standing at the doorstep without any apparent reason. Reluctantly, I opened the door. My sister stood there, blunt as ever. It's been a while. Oh, you brought Hannah with you? That's unusual. I don't want this disabled kid in my house. Her shrill voice echoed. Right after arriving, she started pushing her daughter, Hannah, towards me. Hannah, my niece, must be 7 now. Suddenly pushed, Hannah nearly stumbled. What's this all about? Showing up out of the blue. Confused, I glared at my sister, who shoved her child towards me and sighed, everyone's so annoying. Having a child who can't even speak properly isn't worthless to me. Using such harsh words for her own daughter was unthinkable. I was at a loss for words. Can't speak? What do you mean? Just what I said. It's too much trouble. My sister sighed heavily. Look, being a parent to a disabled child is incredibly hard. I can't do it anymore. Since you can't have kids, I'll give her to you. What? Barren and disabled, a perfect pair. Get along now. Having said her piece, my sister didn't even look back at her daughter, simply got into her car and drove away. Shocked by the turn of events, all I could do was embrace Hannah. Snapping back to reality, I looked around. My sister's shrill voice had echoed since the morning. The neighbors might come over to see what happened. Hastily, I took Hannah's small hand and led her inside. Locking the door behind us, I turned around. Just as I was about to comfort Hannah, she exclaimed, "Yay! Freedom at last!" Inside the house, realizing her mother had left, Hannah was overjoyed. Confused, I decided to listen to Hannah's story in the living room. According to her, she had been under strict upbringing to become the perfect child. She attended different classes every day, sometimes juggling multiple lessons in a single day. No matter how hard Hannah tried, she was never praised or acknowledged. If she failed or things didn't go as planned, she was scolded and yelled at. Even when she sought help, her father was always busy with work, and her paternal grandparents didn't seem to care for a granddaughter. Then, a younger brother was born, and all the positive attention shifted to him, leaving Hannah feeling unloved and treated like a nuisance. Especially from her mother, the treatment was harsh. Hannah became so scared of being scolded that she eventually lost her ability to speak in front of her mother. This led to a misunderstanding that Hannah couldn't speak, and in a fit of anger, my sister brought her to me. Being scolded and yelled at if I failed, I wasn't even allowed to eat. Hannah shared through tears. She was emaciated, and upon closer inspection, there were scars on her arms and legs. Hearing her story, I realized it was too dangerous to send Hannah back to my sister's house. For now, I decided to feed Hannah. She ate voraciously, perhaps it was her first satisfying meal in a long time. To not provide enough food for a growing child. I pondered this while watching Hannah. Right now, I am the only one she can rely on. I made up my mind. When my husband returned and found Hannah at our home, he was surprised. I immediately explained the situation to him. Then, I told him I wanted to take Hannah to Indiana. My husband also felt displeased with how his niece was treated by her parents. He agreed to make her our child. Later, we arranged a meeting with Hannah's parents and formally adopted her. My brother-in-law seemed indifferent, as if having a successful son was all that mattered, showing no concern for Hannah. And his parents even stated they would be better off without a girl in the family. We were able to complete the adoption process quickly. Relieved, we resolved to make Hannah happy. We wanted to give her a free and loving life, pouring into her all the love we would give our own child. We decided to support and encourage whatever Hannah wanted to do. Over time, Hannah thrived and grew. Years later, she was admitted to a prestigious university's law school. We celebrated her diligent efforts as if they were our own joy. One Sunday, while enjoying family time, Hannah's parents suddenly showed up at our home, demanding her back without even greeting us. I was reminded of the past. They had unceremoniously abandoned Hannah at our doorstep. They had not contacted us at all until they heard about her university admission. It was unbelievable they would make such a demand now. Apparently, Hannah's brother, once thought to be promising, had dropped out of high school. Probably, he had been subjected to the same oppressive education Hannah had faced. Tightly controlled, any child would lose motivation for everything. Hannah's brother had been showing signs of withdrawal, even refusing to go to middle school. We don't need a socially unfit child. Hannah, come back. Hannah's parents came to take her back after finding out she had been admitted to a challenging university. Considering her once as a disabled person to be discarded, and now wanting her back for their convenience. Children are not possessions or toys. I was infuriated by their audacious behavior. Since deciding to raise Hannah as our own, we've poured our whole hearts into loving her. My husband, considering her his own daughter, refused to let her go, shielding her. The two continued to claim their parental rights at our doorstep. At that moment, when it seemed there was no resolving the situation. My parents are Fred and Monica. You're not my parents. Hannah stared them down with determination and spoke out. Rejected by Hannah, her biological parents left, threatening legal action. Later, they hired a lawyer, trying to annul the adoption. However, we had legally adopted Hannah. They couldn't dissolve the adoption. At the time of adoption, Hannah, then 7, had signs of violence labeled as discipline and was significantly underweight, likely due to abuse. I had a medical report suggesting possible abuse. Confronted with evidence of their abuse, they feared a lawsuit would damage their reputation. Worrying about public perception, they were a couple who would even abandon their own child. Faced with evidence of their abuse, they couldn't pursue the lawsuit. However, rumors that Hannah had been abused and discarded spread quickly. The rumors affected my brother-in-law's company's stock prices, which plummeted. Soon, he was removed from his position as CEO. Afterward, Hannah's parents disappeared. Her brother was taken in by relatives of my brother-in-law, passed the GED, and went on to university. Hannah graduated from university, found the job she wanted, and married a man she met at work. While we felt lonely, we prayed for Hannah's lifelong happiness as she left our home to start her own family.